Welcome to Tatis. In this new video, we'll be interviewing an international student from ESCP Business School. Welcome. Can you introduce yourself?
Well, hi everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Augustin. I'm French and Swiss, and I'm currently finishing my M1 in the Masters in Management at ESCP Business School.
What made you choose this field of study and ESCP?
In my bachelor's, I already did international management, and I wanted to stay in the business environment. Yet I didn't want to choose too specific of a master's. I still wanted to be in a general master's, which is why I chose a master's in management. And then why ESCP? There are a lot of different reasons, but also it was in Paris, in France. I wanted to go back to my French roots, and it's also a great school, so that's why I chose it.
So how did you discover ESCP and this program?
As I'm French, ESCP is also a big name, not only in France, but also then internationally. And when I was looking for a Masters in Management program, I guess like most people also looked on the rankings. And so ESCP is performing pretty well there. In the Masters in Management programs, ESCP has a very attractive program, which is why I was drawn there.
Why did you choose to study in France over other countries?
To be very transparent, I applied to various universities, but then I thought France is a good way for me to connect back to my roots, to also see how the French academic system is, because the majority of my life and my education I spent in Switzerland. And since ESCP is one of the best in France, I thought it's a good way to go back to see and to experience the French way of living, especially in Paris.
How did you apply to your program?
So I applied very simply online. There's a lot of different documents that we need to submit. And then after, if you're approved with your different documents, you get an invitation to an interview. And if then again you're approved, then you can start for the master's.
Which documents you needed to submit?
In my case, I had to submit not only my diploma and also the grades I had in my bachelor's, but I also had to submit a motivation letter. So why do you want to go to ESCP? Why do you think they're going to help you in your professional project and professional journey? And then also you have to show like a GMAT or a GRE, so a standardized test, also a certificate of English level, which in my case I did not really have to because I had my bachelor's in English, but most people I think they have to show a certificate of English.
And how did the interview go?
Well, really nice. Of course, I had to prepare a little bit. I had to know what I wanted to tell them, the jury, and how ESCP was going to help me in my professional journey and reach my goals. But I was positively surprised, ESCP especially. They were really interested in my persona, what I did in the past and what brought me here and what I was interested in. So it's not only focused on the academics and they're not really testing you necessarily out. It's more also of a conversation with them. They were genuinely interested in me, so that was nice.
How would you describe the MiM program overall?
So overall, I'd say it's really your possibility to become and to specialize in whatever you want. If you want to stay in a general way and study general management and maybe also explore different areas of management. What's great about the Masters in Management at ESCP is that we have over 60 specialization and over 150 electives. So you can really do whatever you want. And so it's a bit à la carte. You can choose. And this is what I think is pretty great. You can trial and error. So you can try something out. And if you notice it's not what you want, then it's also progress in the future for your career. Overall, also, it allows you to meet international people. More than 60% of the students are international. The great thing also is that we have endless opportunities either for international experience by going abroad for an exchange semester or even a double degree. And then also it's a great way to get some internships and professional experience.
What are the most important subjects that you've studied so far?
So I wouldn't say that they are most important subjects per se. They are, as I'm at the end of my M1, we had in the first semester core courses. So everyone in the masters has the same courses, typically corporate finance, or we had like business law. So a bit the basics so that everyone is on the same level. But then after we chose our specializations. And I, for example, in my second semester had the Managing Oneself Another specialization, where we delved into how a manager can or should be reflexive. So not only thinking about how to do it, but also why are you a manager? What's your purpose? And typically this is the thing of choosing your specialization. You can go deeply into finance and do corporate finance and talk about bonds and everything, or have something a bit more reflexive, a bit more personal. So yeah, it's pretty endless. We also had seminars. One of the most famous seminars in the master's program is Designing Europe, where we get to act as parliamentaries and to learn deeply also about the European roots of our school, but also of how politics in Europe are made and played.
Could you talk about a project or topic that you've recently worked on and that really marked you?
So recently we had a really fun project in my corporate entrepreneurship class. Basically we had a mission with LVMH fragrances where they wanted us to innovate and bring new ideas and new energies for a specific fragrance. And it was really cool to work directly with them. And then at the end to go to their headquarters and to pitch our ideas. And some even got some goodies, some free fragrances. So that was a good experience.
What does a typical academic week look like?
So I can tell you, for example, from last semester, where we had our core courses and everything was standardized. Typically, you'd have out of the 5 work days in a week, you'd have 3 days of class. And it's not full days. You'd start at 10 a.m. and maybe you finish at 4 or 5. So there's time enough for you to have some time to go with your friends or even to study. If you want to be serious or studious, then you should also do some self-study and prepare for classes.
What do you think truly makes a difference in order to succeed in your program?
Well, I think firstly, you should be academically rigorous. You should be serious, plan ahead, be positive, have a good attitude. Since at the ESCP we have a lot of group works, you should be able to socialize a lot. We have a lot of different cultures, a lot of different backgrounds. So put yourself out there and network for sure.
How does the teaching style differ from your home country?
So I was in a business school before as well, but I think what's specific here at ESCP is that you have a lot of practice. You have professors that are really working in the industry, so they have experience. They don't only talk about theory, and they give you projects that matter. So I think this is different, and it's also refreshing, not only to read books, but also to have applied projects. Like in the example with LVMH, you work with companies. For example, my specialization is also sponsored by an audit company, so we get to have a direct exchange with them, which is pretty unique.
What are some of the key administrative steps that you need to handle once you arrive?
So I think the biggest thing in my case was looking for an apartment. Especially I was looking when it was still the end of the Olympic Games, so it was pretty hard. And in France, when you're looking for an apartment, you have to, for example, show that you're a student. So you had to already get the approval of ESCP and then also get all the necessary funding to get the apartment technically. And also a good thing in my case is you get help from the French government sometimes as a student. What I would recommend to most internationals if they're coming, don't panic. The French government helps you sometimes.
How did you manage the transition between Switzerland and France? Were there any challenges?
So in my case, I didn't have that big of a culture shock since I'm French and Swiss, and also the majority of my life I spent in Switzerland in the German-speaking part, because if you didn't know, Switzerland has actually 4 national languages: French, Italian, Romansh, and German. In my family, I speak French, so it wasn't that big of a gap. For some of my friends, I know that there was a bit of a cultural change, but I think it works if at the beginning of your semester or even with your specialization, you get friends and you try to socialize or organize things, or even try to participate in associations or a sports event. I think as soon as you have your little group, then the barriers go down, and it works really well here in Paris. People are open.
And so how did you adapt to the student life in France?
So really quickly, I got at the beginning the opportunity to meet a lot of new friends from a lot of different backgrounds. So I've got Indians, German, French, Italians. So that's really a good thing here in ESCP. We're exposed to a lot of different nationalities. I mean, Paris is a big city. If you technically want, you can go out every day of the week. Also, I'm a student ambassador and I got elected as a representative. Therefore, each student, if they have an inquiry or if they have a problem they're facing, they can contact me so that I can contact the administration and tell them. So also with that, it was an opportunity for me to expand my network and to take part in the student life. Also at the ESCP, we have a lot of different student association. It ranges from sports association if you want to play basketball or soccer, to even religious associations or African associations. So pick your poison. You've got enough of things to do. I myself, I'm not involved too many in sports associations. I just go to the gym and I go out with my friends. But I know that there are a lot of people that also do maybe professional associations such as consulting, investment banking. So you can really do whatever you want and invest your free time for whatever you're interested in.
So, what are the next steps for you?
So actually it's pretty exciting because I just got the information yesterday that I'm going to Berlin next semester. ESCP has actually 6 campuses. They're very European, so we have one in London, Madrid, Paris, Turin, Warsaw, and Berlin. And so I'm going to do entrepreneurship in Berlin for my 3rd semester, and then the last semester of my M2. So when I finish my master's, I'm going to do an MBA exchange in Singapore. So I'm really looking forward. It's going to be my first time in Asia, so yeah.
And what are your plans after graduation?
So I don't have a clear path or a clear dream job. I just know that most probably I think I'll go back to Switzerland because I just think economically and also for a career it's a good place to start. But I mean, why not work in Paris again or in France for a few years in business development or consulting. I know strategy consulting is a path that a lot of people want, but I think it's also a great opportunity to dive into different industries and to start there. Yeah.
How has studying in France and more specifically at ESCP shaped your personal and professional goals?
Well, I think one of the biggest specificities of ESCP is that it's so international. So what I definitely know, what I will want is to work with a lot of different people, a lot of different backgrounds, because this is really, I think, something that's personally, but also professionally in my job is going to help me to have people with different point of views, with different experiences. I mean, for example, I have not doctors, but the students that studied medicine or even professional sport athletes. So it really is a big range, and I think it really enriches our life, our experiences. And professionally, it's also definitely something I would want to continue to work in a big team. Yeah.
What advice would you give to a student that dreams to study in France and in ESCP?
Be yourself, be ambitious. So be driven, you have to know what you want and you have to really go for it. Don't auto-censor yourself and also have fun, socialize. I mean, we're only studying once in our life, so give it your full and enjoy the process.
If you could change or improve anything in this experience, what would it be?
I would recommend for prospective students, if they want to get involved and if they want to meet as many people, as many students as possible, at the beginning they should try to participate in student associations or even sports activities, because I think this is the great way to connect. And maybe it's not something that I did well at the very first moment, but if you want to do that and if you want to meet as many people as you can, this is definitely something I'd recommend.
Any last words?
First, thank you very much for this interview. And to all of you, I can only recommend apply and show your interest. Be diligent, be motivated. And France is a great place to study. And ESCP has a lot of different things to offer. So you don't necessarily have to study in Paris. You can discover the rest of Europe. So it's a great opportunity to travel, to meet new people, to discover new cultures, and to also learn what you want professionally, and maybe to even find a job. Who knows?
Thank you for your insights and the motivation you give, and see you soon on Totus.